When the world watched and discussed as police officers harassed and eventually put George Floyd to his death in Minneapolis in May 2020, no one was prepared for the shockwaves that this brutal and needless killing would send across the world.
This act of cruel and relentless brutality was a turning point, the straw that broke the camel's back. Enough was enough. The people spoke, the people demanded action.
For years there had been similar incidents across the states of police harassment and brutality towards black people purely for their colour. It's wrong.
It's easy for us here in North Lanarkshire to ask, what has that got to do with us, thousands of miles away?
We like to think, and it's a comfortable thought, we're a tolerant and inclusive area.
But are we? I think North Lanarkshire is a tolerant place to live to an extent. I feel like there's a lot that still needs to be done, but especially in our school, I feel like they are trying a lot more than other schools, which I feel like will definitely help the few black people in the school to feel more comfortable, and also that they're not alone in a sense, and that people do care and support them.
I think that North Lanarkshire is a somewhat tolerant place to live. I know that over the past however many years a lot of change has been made, and I know a lot of people are really trying their best, but it's horrible to have to witness a lot of our friends are still subject to racism, and some people just stand by and just watch it happen, and we can't do that anymore. That's just as bad as doing it yourself.
Living in North Lanarkshire, I've seen a lot of racism, and I don't feel like it's as tolerant as it should be. And there's still a lot of intolerance that is participated in North Lanarkshire.
I would say it's in the middle with North Lanarkshire, because on some parts of North Lanarkshire it is tolerant and people understand where to go with that topic, but in other parts it's like they talk a lot of bad stuff about it, and it could be better.
Considering race, off my experience, I've witnessed a lot of racism and comments that have been made that are claimed to be jokes, but I don't think it is.
I think North Lanarkshire is somewhat of a tolerant place to live. I think it's better than it used to be, and people sort of have changed their attitude a lot towards different issues that we used to face in society. But there's still a lot that we need to progress with and where we could improve.
I think North Lanarkshire is tolerant to an extent. Despite there being a majority of people out there who offer so much support, there's still a louder minority, which is something we need to change.
Well, growing up, because I went to a predominantly white school, I used to get beat up a lot for being brown and Muslim, and I used to get called different slurs even if I was walking home. I never had any friends. I was singled out, and yeah, so I was all alone, and that made it really hard.
As a young black woman, I feel like my experiences are probably similar to other young black women as well. I feel like we all, in a way, sometimes we do feel like we're not, if you live in a more predominantly white area, I feel like you're not the same. You feel different, as if you stand out but not in a good way. You just feel like there's so much pressure on you, and it's just everyone's watching you. So I feel like as a young black woman, you do get racist people, but sometimes women are just made to feel as if you just need to ignore it, and just because you're a woman you just need to accept it and just move on. But I feel like nowadays I just feel like it's more getting known that if someone is racist to you, you don't just sit and not say anything, you don't accept it.
Well, I've had the terrorist jokes, I've had all the monkey and the you look like poo jokes. It's definitely been a big part, especially in my primary school, but it's one of those things that's made me me.
What we've learned from Black Lives Matter is that there's still a lot of racial intolerance that is participated in Scotland, and especially in North Lanarkshire and all across the world, that we need to fight against.
I think that the Black Lives Matter movement has made a great difference to a lot of people I know. A lot of us were so uneducated before that happened, and we shouldn't have been so uneducated, but this has really spiked a surge of education to young people that we never had before.
I believe the Black Lives Matter movement has put out so much information for people, and it's educating everyone. It's actually bringing more inclusion. Everybody is joining in, and it's eventually it will bring everyone together?
I believe that Black Lives Matter movement is showing people what Black people face. It's showing and helping raise awareness about the way that Black people are treated. They're dehumanised by others, and people are finally starting to realise this. That it's also helping Black people get their voice heard and get treated the same way that white people get treated.
I feel like the Black Lives Matter has made a great difference, especially to me as a young black person. I feel like it's definitely made the Black Lives Matter movement more spoke about and there's more awareness to it. But I feel like there obviously needs to be more, and it needs to be made more awareness, not just in schools but in the community in general, just to make black people feel as if they're not alone and they've always got support.
I feel like Black Lives Matter has made awareness, because before not a lot of people knew that a lot of streets in Glasgow were named after famous slave owners, like a Giles Street and that, but now people know.
Black
Lives Matter. I think the Black Lives Matter movement has definitely helped spread awareness to people who may not have known about different things that are racist, and that they may feel like, oh, it's not that bad, it's just a joke, it's not that bad, but it's definitely something that's hurtful. And so it's definitely helped by spreading awareness and informing people of stuff that they may not have known as. For instance, I didn't know a lot about how the slave traders were being named, their names were being used as street names, and they had statues everywhere. I didn't know about many of that until you saw on the news that these statues were being torn down, and you were shocked, because as far as you were concerned, like, as far as I was concerned, slave trades were only in America. I had no idea they were here.
I think Black Lives Matter has made a difference, particularly in North Lanarkshire, because it's made people focus a lot more on themselves and educating themselves about the issues. And it's really, I think it's made people think more actively than passively. So some people, I feel, before the Black Lives Matter movement and that we were talking about it a lot more, sort of just went, you know what, I don't face it in my day-to-day life, so it doesn't really exist, or I don't need to do something about it. But when it became a bigger movement and it was all over the news and the media and everybody saw it, I think people went, you know what, I want to do a wee bit more to tackle it. And yeah, I think just people are looking at improving themselves, and that's what is really making an impact and positive change.
Black
Lives
Matter.
My message that we should take from this conference is that we all stand together, and everybody should stand together to fight racism, because that's the only way that we're going to make a difference.
I just really hope that we can make a major difference, in that talking about racism, it won't be so controversial. It will be a topic where it's just racism is wrong, full stop. There will be no discussion, no debate, when there's really just one way. You can't discriminate against anybody.
Well, hopefully we'll get taught more about Black history in school, and hopefully people will start to realise that racism is a serious matter, and it also is illegal. It's a hate crime, and hopefully people will stop using slurs and will know more about what Black people had to experience and still experience.
Black
Lives
Matter.
well done to the work that's been done so far. I mean, in terms of even 20 years ago, there's been an amazing improvement. Obviously there's a long way to go, and I'm excited to see where they're going to take that growth and develop it into schools and the council area.
I hope this conference will bring everybody together and realise that everything should be equal in this world. We're all the same.
Well, I think the efforts so far have been really good, and the fact that stuff has been done about it is great, but there's a long way to go, and there's a lot that still has to be done, and it really needs to be talked about more, especially in schools, I think.
I hope that the conference, although it's only going to meet a small amount of people, I hope that will sort of make an effect that will ripple onto others, so people will talk about the conference and be like, there's these things happening and we should talk about it more. And I'm hoping that it'll spark more education about it, and it'll be a sort of normal thing that everybody talks about from a young age, and it's not just this thing that activists and people that want to make positive change talk about, but it's just a part of day-to-day life that everybody tries to tackle. And I hope that more people, when they see racism, say something about it and don't just be a bystander.
The Black Lives Matter movement has made us all think. We have done work in our schools and in our youth groups on the issue, and now we have a voice. The fact that this conference is taking place is a brave decision by our council. The fact that this conference is taking place proves that there has been a change. Let us all work together to get rid of racism. And let us all work together to make North Lanarkshire a better place to study, a better place to work, and a better place to live. I have a dream, we have a dream.